Uh, Welcome to the American Institute Museum of American History, and we shall be talking about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was a man of great success, but he was also a man of many failures. He he grew up in a childhood of lots of tragedy and had little to no education whatsoever. Yet he was able to overcome all of these obstacles and become one of the greatest American of all time. He, this cabin here is represents his childhood, in which he was born on February 12th, 1809. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12th, 1809, in Hardin County, Kentucky. However, a few years after his birth, his family moved to Indiana. At age 9, his mother passed away, but his stepmother quickly took the role of his biological mother and urged Abraham to read. Abraham Lincoln only had 1 year of formal education, but he obtained much of his knowledge from many different individuals. Much of his family died before they fully matured, for only one of his siblings, Sarah Grisby, grew up to full maturity. Before Lincoln got anywhere near being president, he had signed up for the Black Hawk War and was selected captain of a company of volunteers. He was not a successful captain of his group and ended his military career as a private. On top of that, his career as a part of the military was very short, and he saw no real action while enlisted. Other careers pursued by Abraham Lincoln were those such as businessman and a lawyer in Springfield. This suitcase stands for all of those careers pursued by Abraham Lincoln, in which he was not very successful at all. As a lawyer, he was very impractical and temperamental to be a success. He did not enjoy being a lawyer, and did not enjoy helping a defendant, and did not even try to win the cases. Shortly after ending his career as a lawyer, he turned to politics and lost in his first attempt to run for legislature and his second attempt to run for Congress. He was defeated twice in senatorial elections and in a run for vice presidency. It wasn't until the Lincoln-Douglas debates for a seat in the U.S. Senate in which Abraham Lincoln. In the years of 1861 to 1865, the United States of America was going through a difficult time in history. There was a long-lasting argument over slavery and whether it should be abolished or kept, and also the secessions from many southern states such as South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, and the threats to secede from other states such as Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. These 11 states formed what was called the Confederate States of America, and along with them, 4 other states to join them later on. All these secessions occurred due to Abraham Lincoln being elected president. The problem with Lincoln being president was that he opposed slavery, and the South was afraid that Lincoln might abolish slavery completely. Slavery had become a major problem when abolitionists began to think of owning slaves as inhumane. When Lincoln was elected president, many of the southern states were afraid that he would influence abolishing slavery a lot more. And in reality, his first inaugural address. In Lincoln's first inaugural address, he stated that he had no intention of abolishing slavery completely. The only thing he had against slavery was that African Americans should be given those unalienable rights listed in the Declaration of Independence. So, after his first inaugural address, the southern states who had previously seceded remained seceded from the Union. Lincoln did not allow this at all. He ordered supplies and sent them to Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. He even warned South Carolina in advance that he was sending supplies to that fort. South Carolina sensed that this was going to be a trap and ordered the commander of the fort to surrender. The commander, Robert Anderson, agreed to surrender on one condition: that he could surrender when his supplies ended. His offer was rejected, and very quickly shots rang around the fort, marking the beginning of the Civil War. In January of 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This was done a document to attempt to end slavery. The document stated that any slave owned by a rebelling owner was free. However, the word free, defined in the Emancipation Proclamation, was to be considered free in the eyes of the government. Those who did not pay attention to the government and rebelled against it made no attempt to abide to the government, and the proclamation did not free many slaves at all. On November 19, 1863, Abraham Lincoln addressed the public to honor those who died in the Battle of Gettysburg. This address was called the Gettysburg Address. It was said to honor those who died for the Union in the Battle of Gettysburg. This is not just an ordinary honor. It was a speech that said in a dedicated cemetery for those Union soldiers. Although it was a very short speech and received little to any attention at all at that time, it was still considered one of Lincoln's greatest speeches of all time. In November of 1864, Abraham Lincoln was re-elected president due to William Tecumseh Sherman's success in Atlanta. Because of this, Lincoln gained much popularity he had lost by vetoing a bill. He gave his second inaugural address on March 4th, 1865, and made it clear that he had no hard feelings toward the South. All he had in mind was to finish off everything and get back to where they were previously in history without all the conflicts. This speech was given just days before the Civil War ended at Appomattox Courthouse, and marked a great victory for the Union. A month after Lincoln's second inaugural address, Lincoln was attending a play in Ford's Theater and was assassinated by one of the actors. The actor went by the name of John Wilkes Booth, and he was absolutely obsessed with avenging the Confederacy's defeat. After his assassinating of President Lincoln, Booth escaped to Virginia, but was shot in a corner of a burning barn 11 days later. It was later discovered that Booth had 9 associates. 4 of them were hanged, 4 of them were imprisoned, and the last one was acquitted. Now, as shown by history, Abraham Lincoln was a great man. He had many failures, but a lot more success. He did show defeat at one point of his life, but he was determined to continue moving forward and to make an impact. Abraham Lincoln was a man of great determination. Although he had his struggles and had a hard time overcoming these obstacles, he found a way to overcome them sooner or later and become one of the, if not the greatest Americans of all time. And by this, we honor him by having him on our $5 bill and our penny. He has made such an impact on those of us who presently live in his death. Thank you.